Hello, Mr. Berry's geometry class. This is the 18th. This is not due until the 23rd, so it's a ways out, but thought I'd help you guys get started on this. The rules for rotating counterclockwise. Now, I wasn't in class. I don't get a chance to go into this class, but the way I write the rules, it might be a little bit different. I have some examples over here. So the rules for rotating counterclockwise about the origin. If you have an x and y value, your new x and y value is going to be your y value, but negative, your y value, and your new xy, your y is going to be what your x was. That's what this means. Okay. In other words, if you had 3 and 6 rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise, it would become -6, 3. It would be your new xy. Okay? If you're doing 180, you just change your xy values and make them negative. In other words, if your coordinates were 3, 6, your new xy rotated 180 degrees counterclockwise would become -3, -6. And then down here, the 270 degree counterclockwise is going to be your new x is going to be whatever your y was, and your y is going to be whatever your x was negative. In other words, once again, if you had the coordinates 3, 6, your new coordinates would become 6, -3. Okay? So with that in mind, let's take a look at these. The slowest part, the thing that takes the most time is just the graphing. So, go ahead and graph this. Here's A, here's B, here's C. Find your points. This is your y-axis, this is your x-axis. And it's just, tough to count because this is so small and everything. But you go 2, 7, put your point, label it. Then you go to 6, 5, put your B there, label it. And then go to 4, 1, put your C there, label it. And with that rule, 90 degrees counterclockwise, go back up here, use that rule. Your x and y becomes -yx. So it's -y. This is my -y. This becomes my C, the x becomes the -y. That's my new x, in other words. And then your y, your new y becomes what your x was. So the x was 2, so that's my new y here for A. My x was 6, that becomes my new y for B. My x was 4 for C, it becomes my new y for C. And then you just plug in these points and label these with a little mark by it, that little hash mark there. A, B, and C. Label those. Now, I'm not going to go through and label. I think that's, very elementary to be able to, find coordinates and label points. So what I do want to help you out on is every other one, make sure you're getting the coordinates correct. Okay? So I just want to show you that to kind of help you along the way. You could go ahead and take the time to label them as you mark them. So, as you put down the trapezoid J, K, L, M. Make sure when you use these coordinates, and this is what you should be getting for 270 degrees counterclockwise. When you do the 270 counterclockwise, remember, you take your xy, your new x becomes what your y was, and your new y becomes what your x was negative. Okay? So I went through and just, what was the y? Okay, so this y now becomes my new x. This y becomes my new x. This y becomes my new x. This y becomes my new x. And then you take for your y what your x was and put a negative and just make it negative. So my x was 3, make it a negative. My x was 6, make it a negative. My x was 1, my x was an 8, make it a negative. My x was a 1, make it a negative. Okay, so just following the rules and then go ahead and plot those points. Okay. For number 5, a 270 counterclockwise, once again, go with that rule. That's the one that we just did. Your xy becomes your y and negative x. And you should be getting these. Let me know, shoot me an email if you find anything wrong, if you have any questions about that. And then you would plot those points the same way, labeling them. Number 7, 180 degrees, you just keep them and make them negatives. Notice a negative 3 becomes positive 3. Okay, just swapping the signs. Number 9, the 90 degrees counterclockwise. Remember, it's your y, but it's negative, your y, but negative, y, but negative for your new x's, your y, but negative for your new x's. And then your y's, your new y's, are what your x's were. So -7, -4, -2, and -5. And just always refer back to, if you're not sure, always refer back to the rules and the examples. Okay, and then number 11, the 270 counterclockwise, you'd follow that rule, and you would have, you should end up with 5, -4, -2, -6, -2, and -1. And if you need help graphing these, I'll do number 11 here real quick. I just wanted to see what was on this page. I'm not sure what that page had to do. Maybe it was an example. I don't know. There weren't any directions with that page if you ended up printing it out too. So maybe that was just an example of some sort. But so let's start with, let me help you graph one more of these. And this is going to be from scratch. So D is going to be 4, 5. So I go to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. E is going to be 6, -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and -2, 1, 2. And then F is going to be 1, 1, -2, 1, 2. Boom, like that. Okay. And so in red, because that was my F, that was my E, and this is my D, okay? All right, now, taking a look at that, I'm grabbing my red pen, and I'm going to do my new ones in red. So my new D is 5, -4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's going to look weird. E, -2, 1, 2, -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and -2, -1, -2, -1. Okay, so this one looks kind of tight. That was my F. This was my E. This was my D, and I put those little hash marks right along with it so that you can see what you're graphing there. Okay, hopefully this helps. Good luck with the other ones. Just follow those rules. Plotting the points is going to take the longest time, but good luck with the rest.